Welcome! It's a great day to be a miner. Today we have an exciting new item to review, the aaawave Sluice version 2 12 GPU mining rig frame. In this video we're going to unbox it, we're going to go over the specs, we're going to review the built out frame. So without further ado, let's spin that intro. First, I just want to say thank you to aaawave for providing us with this beautiful frame to review. That being said, this is not a paid review, and the opinions stated in this video are that of my own. Make sure you stick around to the end of this video, and we will provide you with a couple of valuable discount codes to be used on aaawave.com on this mining rig frame, as well as some GPU risers. You won't want to miss that. Next, let's just go ahead and unbox this thing. This is, again, the Sluice version 2 12 GPU mining rig frame. Now on this specific frame, it was packaged well in another box, very well packaged. However, this had shifted around a bit. It had popped the tape open and it had kind of crumpled the box a little, but I don't think any of the parts are going to be harmed in there. So let's go ahead and open it up and see what's inside. Get out of here, box. All right, so right off the bat, we are kind of loose sliding around in there, but not too bad. All right, let's tear this thing open and see all the parts inside to see what we have. First off, we got a box with accessories and parts. Did not ship all that well, but that was because the whole main box was a little bit crushed. Here's our instructions. And here is our main supports and beams. We got a nice little aaawave logo right there in the middle. And our main tray for the bottom. So let's take a look at this thing. No scratches on it. Coating is nice and thick. Coating clear through. It was definitely coated after it was drilled. And that's a really nice thick piece of steel. I also have a cheap frame over there, and compared to that, like that thing bows and flexes, this thing is, it's pretty tough. That's not gonna go anywhere. I can tell that's gonna be a really solid build. Let's see what other parts we got in here. Another main support. And another main support here. All right, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4. These are our main supports that will be going on the sides. Here is our main tray, all of our cross beams, and I would assume our GPU holders and our fan brackets, our instructions right here, our accessory box. Let's take a peek in the accessory box. We got a power button in there, just a generic toggle switch. A bag of screws, a couple little extra brackets, and what else? And some standoffs and some smaller SSD type screws. All right, we're gonna have a full assembly video just specifically on how to put this together coming up, and you should probably have a link for that up in the description. But with the magic of video editing, let's go ahead and put this thing together. Poof. Wow, that worked out pretty easy. And here it is, the fully assembled aaawave Sluice version 2 12 GPU mining rig frame. First off, let's discuss the size of this thing. This thing is 20 inches wide by 14 inches deep, 14 inches across this way, and 20 inches tall, which is actually a pretty nice frame. It could house pretty much any GPU that you can throw at it. It does get a little tight on one of the really long cards once you put the fans in it. I already know that that distance is going to be a little bit tight. So this frame is designed specifically for ATX motherboards, but could easily accommodate a wide variety of other boards and board sizes, and especially could fit the RebTech all-in-one motherboard quite nicely. Although if you're using the RevTech, it might push out one of your GPU slots since it kind of slots in like a normal graphics card. This frame can support up to 12 graphics cards. Obviously, it is 2-tier, and each tier can hold 6 graphics cards. You can see right here across the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you've got 2 separate rows. This frame has ample space for lots and lots of airflow, which we all know is crucial, especially as the months are starting to warm up. You want to get your fans all put in here. You want to put all 8 120 millimeters, 4 across here, put 4 across here, and make sure to keep all your GPUs nice and cool. So the frame itself is actually very sturdy. It's very strong. It's definitely a thicker, high quality steel. In comparison to this one over here beside me, this thing is a really flimsy, cheap, thin steel with a really terrible coating. This thing is very thick, very durable. It's really hard to bend and flex once it's all put together. I mean, if you really crank on it, you can get a little bit of flex, but this thing is very solid. I'm quite impressed with the construction of this thing. The coating is very nice, it's very thick, and it will protect your frame. So this frame can actually hold 2 ATX power supplies. On the back side, there is a bracket for each one to mount onto. You can mount one here, you can mount one here. Another key feature, a nice plus on this thing is, of course, these support brackets, the cross members for the GPU supports that come across right here. They are quite durable. They have the adjustable slotting so that you can move them up and down to wherever best accommodates your size of graphics cards. Obviously, if you have a mini single fan graphics card, you might want to move that clear to the front, and if you have some big heavy duty Asus Tough cards or something like that, you might want to move the bracket back to give it more back end support. Now, the actual cross member itself has a very nice foam padding, non-conductive surface, and this actually does 2 things. It protects your GPUs from shorting out your riser cards from ever touching and making any kind of short potential. It also gives it more durability and flexibility and better for building overall. Now that was all the good. Let's hear a few of the maybe not so good pieces of this. Whereas the dimension on this rack are quite nice at 20 by 20 by 14 depth, it could possibly inhibit some of the longest graphics cards once you have your 120 millimeter fans back here. If you have one of the super long cards, it is going to be right against that fan. That's just something to note. 99% of the graphics cards will fit in here with no issue whatsoever. Also, where the build on this thing is pretty much quite intuitive and you could probably figure it out without much instruction, the included instructions, they're not so intuitive. They do have some nice pictures, and it does have the parts list quite nicely called out. However, the instructions do not actually specify insert cross member A into item B, and does not point to the exact holes that you should pretty much be using to get this set up. So you kind of have to figure out what you're putting where. And I actually ran into that in the build video where I mounted this beam right here, this fan support, actually slightly too low. I had to just go back, take these 2 screws on each side, move it up one. Not a big deal, but would have been nice if the instructions were a little bit more detail oriented on which piece goes where. Next part, I'm a huge advocate on using a server power supply in conjunction with an ATX or as a standalone. Once you have a full ATX power supply and a full ATX motherboard in this thing, you're gonna be a little tight for space for a server power supply, especially if you're running something like this with the ZSX. But if you're running a ZSX all-in-one, you're not gonna be running an ATX power supply most likely. So once you put this in here, you're probably gonna have to figure out where is my best option to lay the server power supply. And that's not a knock against the aaawave Sluice version 2. That's a knock against pretty much all mining rig frames. There's none that are really designated with a nice way to hold these server power supplies. And that's for 2 reasons. Number one, Most server power supplies differ widely in their size, shape, and function. And then of course, if your breakouts boards are different, then it's gonna have different sizes and dimensions, and your cable is gonna come out different ways. Some of them come straight out, some of them come out the side. Some server power supplies have different setups, so it would be very hard for a manufacturer to actually accommodate these. Note this actual sticker here. This gives me an extra 10% power from this server power supply, but you can get these in there. It just take a little more planning and preparation before you set it all the way up. Before we jump over into our conclusion, our friends over at aaawave also provided us with some nice GPU risers to review. These are the version 009S USB 3.0 PCIe risers. Let's open this thing up and take a look. These feature 4 solid capacitors on each card to perform and provide optimal power delivery. Let's take a look. Here is our PCB itself. And here it is, the beautiful aaawave version 009S USB 3.0 riser. Here's the board itself. Let's check it out. What else comes with this? Here is your little mini PCIe board that will plug into the motherboard. It is a top feed with the gold plating. It comes with a 24-inch USB 3.0 cable, and it comes with a SATA to 6-pin PCIe power adapter. These risers highlight a dual 6-pin PCIe power input or a 4-pin Molex input. Right here is a side feed 6-pin, and here is a top feed 6-pin that goes right beside the card. And then of course your 4-pin Molex. Pick one, not more than one, please, or you will fry something. Only pick one of these at a time. These risers do come with the 6-pin to a SATA adapter to try to give you more leverage and more options. To actually hook up your card, you would plug in your 6-pin and then plug this into a SATA. However, I must advise against ever using one of these. A SATA plug, this type plug right here, is only rated for 54 watts. This slot can demand up to 75 watts. So you're essentially changing 75 watts or into 54, or you're trying to pull 75 watts through something that is designed for 54 watts. Eventually, this will be a point of failure. I know this because over the years, I have melted 3 different SATA connectors. Be careful, be smart. And finally, the risers do show off a beautiful gold plating connection around the USB 3.0, and they have a beautiful red PCB to add a little touch of class to your rig build. One thing I did forget to mention is that, of course, they have a LED power indicator light, which is always a must. It lets you know if there's some point of failure on one of your SATAs so that you can rapidly identify that, hey, there's no power going to that riser, there's something wrong. We will be installing all 6 of these, plus using our Sluice version 2 in an upcoming build where we're going to put at least 6, probably 8 cards to start with in here. We're going to get all of our 8 fans in there. We're going to put some nice RGB because we all know that adds hash rate. All right, it's time for our conclusion. First, let me share with you these beautiful discount codes provided to us by aaawave. We do not receive anything if you use these codes. They are simply to help the buyers out. First, for $20 off of the Sluice 12 card mining rig frame, use code AAATC20. And for an additional, for 10% off of the version 009S risers, use code AAATC10. Let's go ahead and put a bow on this thing. The Sluice version 2 12 GPU mining rig frame provides a lot of bang for your buck. You will be hard pressed to find an 8 GPU mining rig at this price point that is actually available and can ship to you quickly yet alone a quality 12 GPU mining rig frame. This thing's well thought out, it has great quality, it's very sturdy. So for a great frame at a very good price point that you can actually get your hands on quickly and efficiently, then I highly recommend the aaawave Sluice version 2 12 GPU mining rig frame. Don't forget to use code AAATC20 to get an extra 20 bucks off. If you have any questions or concerns, make sure to join the Misfit Mining Discord or the Hashrate Discord. There's always plenty of seasoned vets in there willing to help you out. If you like this video, you know what to do. Smash that like button and subscribe for future content. Thanks for coming along and enjoy the ride. Pew.